6.3%. This is the second straight weekly drop. The modest pullback in rates echoes a decline in the long-term U.S. government bond yields that lenders use as a guide to pricing home loans. Bond yields began to ease last week after the U.S. and Iran agreed to a 2-week ceasefire. The volatility in mortgage rates since the start of the war has dampened the start of the spring home buying season. I'm Alex Vega.
A federal commission has approved the design concept for the Triumphal Arch that President Trump wants to build at an entrance to the nation's capital. The 250-foot-tall arch would rise on federal land on the Virginia side of the Potomac River at the end of Memorial Bridge from the Lincoln Memorial in Washington. News and analysis at townhall.com. From Washington, I'm Keith Peters reporting.
Hi, I'm Tommy Mello with Garage Door Doctors. My mom recently moved into a new home with a builder-grade garage door. Noisy, flimsy, and not built to last, so we're fixing that. Mom, you're my hero. When I was growing up, she worked 3 jobs just to save our house.
And helped you build this company.
Now I'm giving her a beautiful new garage door that's built to last. The garage is 40% of your home's curb appeal. When it looks good and it works great.
Life is good. Thanks, Tommy.
From repairs to upgrades, call Garage Door Doctor today.
Hi, this is Paul Betancourt. Property values may have peaked, making 2026 a must-year to protest your property taxes. Sign up with my excellent Betancourt tax advisor team at btanow.com, as our experienced senior property tax agents and customer service matter. The taxman says do it now.
Sign up with Betancourt Tax Advisors by going online to btanow.com or by calling Paul's professional property team at 713-263-6100.
Dan Patrick for my friend Louis Flory and Ability Tree Experts.
Spring is here and summer just around the corner, which means it's time to deep root fertilize your trees in addition to spraying for insects and disease. Let Ability Trees help maintain their value and repair all damage. Fed and pruned tree will be less susceptible to wind damage and uprooting. Caring for the beautiful and valuable trees on your property that you can replace should be done by experts. And the experts I use, it's very clear. It's Ability Tree Experts and Louis Flory, my friend
For over 40 years.
Gosh, this guy is the pro when it comes to taking care of trees. You know, pruning is important for the health of your trees, and pruning limits resistance to spring storms and allows the sun and fresh air into the canopy. Trees can be in distress several months without showing any signs, so don't wait to protect your investment at 281-441-4179, 281-441-4179, or visit their website at abilitytrees.com. Right now, Ability Trees is giving a deep root feeding with every tree prune. Ability Trees, Houston's leading tree care professional.
This is the Craig Collins Show. The intro music is a little bit failed right now, as is probably any of the audio that's going to come out of this a computer that I have in front of me. So we're going to figure that out in just a second. We have been live streaming other shows at this station now. You've probably seen it. Chris X Radio. And it may have, one thing that I did might have caused this to not work the way it was supposed to. But anyway, we're here. I'm here. It's a radio show. Thrilled to be with you. Lots and lots of stuff to talk about out there in the world. Lots and lots of things to get to. One of the biggest stories, though, is also one of the most tragic and horrible that's out there right now. A murder-suicide that occurred. And to be honest, there's a weird way for me to talk about this. It's not at all what you think, the way I'm leading into this, but the former lieutenant governor of Virginia, Justin Fairfax, who was a big anti-gun guy, shot and killed his wife and then shot and killed himself. Truly horrific. The weird way for me to talk about it is when I was living in Illinois, I was working in radio, and I ran home to do something. I can't remember what I had to do, but I had to go home in the middle of my workday. Before I was on air, I hosted a radio show as my job there. And this happened on the block I lived on. Well, I was at home. Like, I wasn't involved in it. But there were police that just started, like, driving toward my house a little bit after I had arrived there. So I had just missed whatever the horrific moment was, or maybe it had happened hours before. I think if I remember correctly now, they had discovered the people, but it didn't happen, immediately before discovery. Someone had been worried about a family member. I drove to a house that was like 5 or 6 houses from me. And then cops came and everybody else came. But I remember, like, seeing the speeding car, the family member first arriving there, and then eventually calling the police and having everyone else come. And the reason I wanted to couch this conversation in a experience I had is how truly horrific this sort of thing is. Like, you don't need, obviously, someone to share any sort of personal example to understand the horrendousness of a murder-suicide and a absolute piece of crap human of a guy who for some reason wants to take his wife with him when he decides that he wants to no longer be on this earth. But the thing I vividly remember about the experience I had living relatively close to something very similar, no one was famous, no one was a politician. It was just a younger man who thought that he couldn't handle his life anymore. Who knows what he thought, actually. And then he was the piece of crap to kill his fiance and then himself in the house they were living in that they were renting from someone else. But anyway, the point I'm trying to make is I vividly remember the little girls, the two daughters, that came out of this house just wailing, crying. And I don't know logistically how long the people that were discovered in that house were deceased, but the girls sounded like they were stuck in some sort of room for some amount of time, so they didn't necessarily know what happened, but probably knew what happened. But I'll always remember the horribleness of that specific sound and the sound of the relatives who were going in and out of the house and coming out crying. They were crying because they were discovering themselves before the crime scene is cordoned off and officers go in and then other people go in. And it was so weird to be there. I wound up reporting on it for the radio station I was working at because I was on the scene by accident. And I remember not wanting to ask any of the people for any sort of reaction. I remember as these family members came out of this house, I had a program director and another person at the time who were asking me to, like, get reactions from people. And the other thing I'll tell you is when like these human horrible tragedy things occur, it's very special. I don't know if that's even the right word. It's something different than being special to be the kind of person who can turn off the human part of your brain and interview people. And these people shouldn't be going on radio or television or anything. They shouldn't be anywhere near a microphone shortly after something horrible like this happens. It's something I've never understood about a lot of these stories, too. I'll tell you the truth there. When you have, like, a shooting at a school, and then within 24 hours, someone is interviewing one of the kids at the school who survived the shooting, I've never understood the value of that. We don't need to do that. As a society, you can easily wait for people to come up with this information on their own or have this conversation on their own. Like, none of this matters the way that you may think or may feel it does. And of course, what is the point of doing it the way that they're doing it? I've never, ever understood that. I don't think I ever will understand that. It just simply makes no sense to me. But it happens to be a significant part of all the things that are the tragedy that is this situation. And so one more time, again, the best way for me to say it is that when you see the uniquely, and I haven't even touched on the actual aspects of the story itself, the real one, the one with the former Virginia lieutenant governor who, cast the deciding vote in red flag laws, just very horribly anti-guns himself. And you now learn that it's because he thought he couldn't be trusted with one, I guess. I'm assuming that. I don't know, essentially. Here's the thing, and it's the thing I actually most want to talk about this story when I think about the actual context of a left-leaning piece of crap person, or a far left, I shouldn't call him left-leaning, piece of crap person who does exactly the thing that his side of the aisle fear-mongers about other people potentially doing. He misuses his right to have a weapon, his right to have a gun, his right to protect his family and his home. He misuses those things, and then he blames everyone else for the problem. The thing that I think about is how many people have these ridiculously strong beliefs when it comes to guns themselves who never try to use one. They never go to a shooting range. They never have any sort of interaction, any sort of experience, any sort of valuable opinion, like an informed opinion whatsoever on this story. And it mystifies me that people can have such strong opinions of things that they just outright refuse to experience at all, to better understand in whatever sense that might be. And honestly, the more that I talk about it, the more that I think about it, and then you add in the caveat of this person being a unique piece of crap, like uniquely the type of individual who, if he had used guns, I don't know anything about him in that sense, but when you're making these laws, maybe you're not familiar, and then you make yourself familiar, he would have learned that he's a big, giant piece of poop, a big, giant piece of crap who does horrible, terrible things because... I don't know. Honestly, the other thing I remember about my own experience from afar, seeing something horrible like this occur, is how many people just were downright confused. The common thing that people were saying there is, I can't believe this happened. It makes no sense. The two people seemed happy enough with each other. I mean, obviously, anyone in the family was starting to say all the reasons they didn't really like this guy because of how much of a piece of crap he wound up being. And I'm talking about the personal story that I accidentally witnessed. It was so weird. I think I went home because, I forgot a cable or something. I don't know if God wanted me in that position to hear those things or to be around people like that, because it was certainly eye-opening, the difference between news and how we talk about things and how news media, runs with certain stories, and then real life, and how much more devastating real life can be than this news crap that's out there and the news idiots that do this sort of stuff for a living, where they just completely turn off their brain. I do think that sometimes, I know I'm using harsh language to describe news media. I doubt you actually care. But sometimes I think the people who are capable of that sort of stuff are people that maybe we should be worried about too, because it just never makes any sense to me. That you can, and actually, you know what, I'll tell you one other story, and then we'll take our first break. We have a guest coming on at 6:30. We got to coordinate some of that still to make sure that it's going to work on live stream and everywhere else. We're trying new things at KSEV Radio. Please, forgive us for any mistakes we make along the way as we try new stuff. But the last thing I wanted to say, the other thing that I think is uniquely important about stories like this or conversations like this or any of it is I remember another person that I got to interact with when I was in media in Chicago. He was a writer for the Chicago Tribune who would race to the crime scene, and it's Chicago, but he'd race to the crime scene where people had been shot and killed and document it for the newspaper, something probably a lot of newspapers don't even do anymore, before anyone actually would get there. So he had a similar experience to me again and again and again. Sometimes his tips were so good that he was on the scene before the cops were. And this was before I had witnessed the thing I witnessed. And I remember him telling me, he thought he was changed forever. And he desperately wanted to quit his job, but didn't know what he'd do whenever he left his job because of how traumatic and horrific seeing that kind of stuff was. And the families, the devastation in the families. So I guess the other point in all of this, there's a right way and a wrong way to fight crime. To fight horrible people who do terrible things, maybe Batman style is one of the cooler ways to do it. But anyway, there's a right way and a wrong way. Of course, taking away guns makes absolutely no sense. The amount of people who can save someone else, the times we've seen stories where someone was armed and capable and did actually take a shot that wound up preventing harm from coming to others before police get there. Like we've seen it. The guy with a gun who's a hero has happened again and again and again. But more importantly, also remembering that the side of the aisle that allows for this type of crime, that essentially creates policies that put dangerous people back on the streets to do this, are destroying families every day when they allow for someone to be out there who takes the life of someone else in just a horrible, horrible way. This is not new. This is not something that we haven't seen before. And I guess the reality of it sometimes seems to be the problem. For the morons that make the rules in places that make these rules that allow for dangerous people, as I said, to be on the street. They definitely seem to be the issue by and large, and they just don't seem to, I think, appreciate the reality. At least I hope that they don't appreciate the reality, because if they do, they're uniquely even more evil. But I hope they don't appreciate the reality of the thing that they do in our society. All right, we're going to take a break. I know that the audio is going to work now, or at least, well, I should probably hit a button just to make sure it's going to work right before I do that. But a quick break, a lot more. This is the Craig Collins Show, KSEV, KGBC, the voice of Texas.
You know, where we go in life matters, and what we do matters. And we know that taking the wrong road won't produce the best outcomes. Hi, I'm Kathy with Baker Mortgage, and we want you to take the right path when it comes to your mortgage. You know, we live in a world of information overload, but always consider the source. And these are not generally going to be from your big bank or a random offer that comes across your screen. Remember, you're always going to get a better deal on one that you go looking for than one that comes looking for you. You need to deal with somebody who gives a you-know-what, whether or not you're happy in the end. At Baker Mortgage, we do it right. We haven't been around for 68 years because we're lucky. We don't sell CDs, insurance, or anything else. We just provide a great mortgage experience. Isn't that what you're looking for? Call us at Baker Mortgage. I promise you'll be glad you did. We're at 281-313-MOVE or go directly to bakermortgage.com.
Equal housing lender. License number 263213.
This is Kevin O'Hara with O'Hara & Company Real Estate. Our country's founding fathers drafted a document that is the Declaration of Independence. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. To secure these rights, governments are instituted among men, deriving their powers from the consent of the governed. My friends at O'Hara & Company Real Estate, we believe we're at a precipice in time where we must take back our country. We must stand up for our freedoms or lose them forever. Please don't sit idle and let it slip away. Don't let anyone force you to do something you choose not to. As JFK said, if not us, who? If not now, when? If you're looking to buy or sell real estate, give O'Hara & Company Real Estate a call at 281-373-3393, 281-373-3393, or look us up on the web at o'harare.com. I'm Kevin O'Hara. God bless America, and God bless Texas.
Dan Patrick for my friend Louis Flory and Ability Tree Experts.
Spring is here and summer just around the corner, which means it's time to deep root fertilize your trees in addition to spraying for insects and disease. Let Ability Trees help maintain their value and repair all damage. Fed and pruned tree will be less susceptible to wind damage and uprooting. Caring for the beautiful and valuable trees on your property that you can't replace should be done by experts. And the experts I use, it's very clear. It's Ability Tree Experts and Louis Flory, my friend for over 40 years. Gosh, this guy is the pro when it comes to taking care of trees. You know, pruning is important for the health of your trees, and pruning limits resistance to spring storms and allows the sun and fresh air into the canopy. Trees can be in distress several months without showing any signs, so don't wait to protect your investment at 281-441-4179, 281-441-4179, or visit their website at abilitytrees.com. Right now, Ability Trees is giving a deep root feeding with every tree prune. Ability Trees, Houston's leading tree care professional.
Hi, this is Paul Betancourt. Property values may have peaked, making 2026 a must-year to protest your property taxes. Sign up with my excellent Betancourt tax advisor team at btanow.com, as our experienced senior property tax agents and customer service matter. The taxman says do it now.
Sign up with Betancourt Tax Advisors by going online to btanow.com or by calling Paul's professional property team at 713-263-6100.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm, and Chuck McDowell, definitely not an attorney. This is Chuck. If someone talked you into buying something really silly and you want to get out of that silly little thing, my advice, get the facts. Call me and I'll send you our timeshare exit kit absolutely free. Inside, you'll learn how timeshare works and all your options for cancellation.
Call Wesley now for your free exit information kit. 800-909-9696. 800-909-9696.
Hi, I'm Tommy Mello with Garage Door Doctors. My mom recently moved into a new home with a builder-grade garage door. Noisy, flimsy, and not built to last, so we're fixing that. Mom, you're my hero. When I was growing up, she worked 3 jobs just to save our house.
And helped you build this company.
Now I'm giving her a beautiful new garage door that's built to last. The garage is 40% of your home's curb appeal. When it looks good and it works great.
Life is good. Thanks, Tommy.
From repairs to upgrades, call Garage Door Doctor today.
There is historical consistency with the Pope, in the Pope, making a statement of morality when it comes to issues of war and peace. Donald Trump is the difference here. Donald Trump's reaction is the difference.
Oh, Donald Trump's terrible. You would agree it's not uncommon for presidents of the United States to disagree with popes, right?
Sure.
I mean, your old boss didn't agree on abortion or gay marriage, correct?
He was also a very devout Catholic who went to Mass
who happened to disagree
so
vehemently with the Pope on abortion and gay marriage.
Let's not conflate Joe Biden's Catholicism with the way Donald Trump talks about religion.
Well, he's off the theology on abortion and gay marriage.
All right, pause. Jonah.
I love everything about that back and forth discussion. This is the Craig Collins Show, KSEV, KGBC, the voice of Texas. No matter what it is that President Trump does, mainstream media has to behave as though no one else has ever done it before, and it's the worst thing you've ever seen in your entire life. Both of those things have to be equally true for them. There's no way that they can have a discussion where something that Trump's done is even something they'll admit that someone else also did, or a lot of people did. Or in the case of, the decided attack on Iran, a lot of people said they should do it, and then no one actually did it. Only President Trump did. I loved every part of so many of those discussions there. Scott Jennings' job seems very hard to me. It seems like a difficult thing that I would not want to be a part of in any capacity whatsoever because of how challenging and how difficult and ridiculous it would be to sit there and just listen to people attack you and torch you and want to basically punch you in the face all the time. And then that's your gig. That's what you do every single day. All right, let's play some other audio. This is a Department of Justice investigation of Eric Swalwell that was announced, breaking news on Fox News earlier today.
So here's something not so special. Just breaking moments ago, Justice Department is now investigating sexual assault allegations against former Democratic Congressman Eric Swalwell. According to a source, they are beginning that investigation, and Democrats are facing questions now about what did they know about this, because there was quite a bit of rumor and buzz out there. Did they decide not to mention this in a public forum? Swalwell has denied these accusations, but he admits to, quote, mistakes in judgment. The Wall Street Journal reports that there were, quote, whispers about his behavior with women for years. Quote, Alex Evans, a former Swalwell chief of staff who was working for a super PAC supporting Swalwell's candidacy, said rumors came up in endorsement conversations and, quote, as the last box that needs to be checked before they commit. Evans said that he never saw that behavior that raised the red flags and, quote, he was living a complete double life.
This is insane. Here's what's insane about it to me, and here's why I think that it's so important of a discussion. When you talk about that investigation, and you just know, we know this time and again, you've seen it time and again, where people absolutely know all the secrets. They're 100% privy to everything that's going on behind closed doors that's horrible and terrible. The people who are scumbags and behave like scumbags have been caught multiple times being scumbags, all that stuff. And then they pretend none of it's true. They're like, how dare you say any of that stuff? How dare you even think that? As far as these stories go, until inevitably they're actually caught, and it is proven that they knew this stuff going in. And that's the big part of that audio to me, is that these aren't actually secrets, that everyone around these people knows how horrible they are. I mean, you heard several things about Swalwell and some other politicians that most of his colleagues, most of the other people in Congress, they knew that if you allowed a young female staffer to be around Swalwell alone, it was bad, that you couldn't do it. To protect human beings, you had to keep them as far away as humanly possible from this unique piece of crap, this unique dirtbag out there in the world. And that screams something to us about how horrible politics is, how horrible politicians are, all those things, all the stuff that matters to you, to me, to everyone else. I can't, to me, the biggest thing I can't understand, or I seem to keep struggling with in a lot of these stories, is how any of these people sleep, or how any of these people live with themselves and the decisions they make, because the decisions they make are so uniquely atrocious and horrible, and they just don't care. The people themselves, the individuals who run our country and who enable these others to, do these horrible, terrible things that the other people do, they just don't give a crap. And there's something uniquely important about saying that out loud, and about knowing going in that anytime we catch any of these dirtbags, you know what, actually, here's the way I should say it, and we're getting close to having our guest on. Angela Box will be joining us. Hopefully she'll be joining us on video. Hopefully you'll be able to see both of us as we interact and talk. You'll be able to hear both of us is my hope. These are all things that I'm hoping for. I'm not sure if it's going to work. We're going to take a swing and maybe a miss on social media and everywhere else in attempting to do a thing. that we have not done, have someone live in studio and someone else not live in studio, talking to each other on our digital platforms that I put this stuff out on. But nonetheless, the thing I was thinking about, all the crazy, horrible, terrible people who wind up being in Washington, D.C., is I think this is the biggest reason that especially Trump supporters, conservatives, whoever you want to call them, they want to see more people get arrested. They want to see more people get in jail, get thrown in the hoosegow, all of that stuff. They just can't understand how it's not happening. And I agree with them. I fully agree with them. Like, what is the holdup? What's the challenge here? Because, there's just no reason for these individuals to be capable of avoiding any level of the ramifications, the justice that they deserve for the horrible things they do. And we know they do horrible things. Like, that's the other part, is when you see, and I know I laugh a lot when I talk about stuff on the radio. I know it's a thing that I do. A lot of my laughter is not, I find it funny, but I find it ridiculous. I can't fathom it. And so I guess the knee-jerk reaction of my body is to try to laugh. So hopefully the anger doesn't come out more, that I don't start screaming into the microphone more often, because that's probably the other temptation. But you just know that it's a unique kind of person who covers up for someone else who's doing abusive, terrible things. You know, like there's a special place in hell, I guess is the right way to say it, for people who would help someone else do something as horrible as what Epstein did, or any of this stuff that's out there in the world. Any of these things where people make these awful decisions, and then a whole bunch of people who knew about it for a very long time pretend they didn't, and can never admit that they did, because, well, then they're co-conspirators and they get thrown in jail too. But all right, we are going to try to take a break, because I think that our guest should be joining us any moment now. I'm waiting to see it on a platform that I use to connect other people to our social media stuff. So I'm waiting for that person to jump in. So I think we're going to take our other break kind of early, which means that after we get through this break, we won't have any other breaks to take for the rest of the show, which is kind of fun. So hopefully we will hear from someone in just a little bit. This is the Craig Collins Show, KSEV, KGBC, the Voice of Texas. More coming up in just a second.
Finding great candidates to hire can be like, well, trying to find a needle in a haystack. Sure, you can post your job to some job board, but then all you can do is hope the right person comes along. Which is why you should try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. ZipRecruiter doesn't depend on candidates finding you. It finds them for you. Its powerful technology identifies people with the right experience and actively invites them to apply to your job. You get qualified candidates fast. So while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, ZipRecruiter finds you what you're looking for. The needle in the haystack.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire. And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter for free. That's right, free. At ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free. ZipRecruiter.com/free.
ZipRecruiter. Hi, this is Paul Betancourt. Property values may have peaked, making 2026 a must-year to protest your property taxes. Sign up with my excellent Betancourt tax advisor team at btanow.com, as our experienced senior property tax agents and customer service matter. The tax man says do it now.
Sign up with Betancourt Tax Advisors by going online to btanow.com or by calling Paul's professional property team at 713-263-6100.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm, and Chuck McDowell definitely not an attorney. This is Chuck. If someone talked you into buying something really silly and you want to get out of that silly little thing, my advice, get the facts. Call me and I'll send you our timeshare exit kit absolutely free. Inside, you'll learn how timeshare works and all your options for cancellation.
Call Wesley now for your free exit information kit. 800-909-9696. 800-909-9696.
Hi, I'm Tommy Mello with Garage Door Doctors. My mom recently moved into a new home with a builder-grade garage door. Noisy, flimsy, and not built to last, so we're fixing that. Mom, you're my hero. When I was growing up, she worked 3 jobs just to save our house.
And helped you build this company.
Now I'm giving her a beautiful new garage door that's built to last. The garage is 40% of your home's curb appeal. When it looks good and it works great.
Life is good. Thanks, Tommy.
From repairs to upgrades, call Garage Door Doctor today.
This is the Craig Collins Show, KSCV, KGBC, the voice of Texas. I am trying my video a different way. So if you're watching us, we do live stream on a bunch of different social media apps. We live stream on YouTube, on Rumble, and then actually I put everything up on X. I love X, the Twitter platform that Elon Musk bought and then he changed the name of, which is fine. You can name it whatever you want, bud. You own it. But I uniquely love that platform. I don't think a lot of people watch the video there for me, although it's the easiest place to clip stuff out. But at Radio Craig C, if you want to check it out on that platform too. We're waiting for our guest, Angela Box, to join us. She is a podcaster. She's been in radio a bunch in her career. She's been on all, the radio stations, I think, in town at one point or another. And her and I got to know each other through a couple different connections that are out there. And she asked me if she could jump on. She asked me if she could be a part of the show. And I said, sure, why not? So let's go ahead and see if it actually works. Angela Box is joining us, and then hopefully the video looks nice and we can hear her. Angela, can you hear me? Angela,
yes.
Can you hear me? Yes, you can. Okay, are you there? How are you? You're on. We're live.
Yes, I'm great. Can you hear me now?
I can, yeah. You sound really good. How's everything going, Angela?
Okay, good. Oh, it's going. I was running around with my head cut off, and I was at the park earlier today, and I had my conditioner in my hair, and I was doing laps, and I go, oh, I have a Zoom.
Yeah.
I have a thing with Craig at 6:30.
Well, here, I'll start.
I'm here. I made it.
You did. I'll start it this way because this is kind of a funnier thing because I've done both on-demand stuff and then the digital stuff that you're doing now. And I think when you transition between one and the other, when you go to radio or from it, sometimes you forget, like, when it's live, I only have till 7 o'clock to chat with you. Yeah. So that's the difference. When
You're
it's
like,
on...
Heifer, get on the Chrome.
Yeah, what do you...
And I used to have Riverside. I switched over to StreamYard, but I totally just blanked on that you have to use Chrome. But
yes. Oh, yeah, I forgot. I didn't even know that, too. No, we're here. We're doing it. All right. So let me ask you about any of the topics that have been in the news that have been kind of the focus for you. Is there one specifically you want to start with out of all the stuff out there, or do you want me to actually just ask you questions about... yeah, go ahead.
Let's start with Fart Boy.
All right, go ahead. Continue.
Shall we?
Yeah.
My brother-in-law said yesterday, my sister goes, Todd is really depressed that Eric Swalwell has resigned because
yes, please.
Eric Swalwell.
Tell me why.
I mean, it's watching karma in real time, much like Meghan Markle, Prince Harry, much like Blake Lively, Ryan Reynolds. It's like really bad, awful people who do horrible things are getting their karma in real time. And it's quite remarkable to see. Like, never forget, Eric Swalwell was the dude. Him and Adam Schiff were tag teaming every night. They're like, okay, who's going to go on MSNBC tonight and say, I've seen the evidence, Trump's the Russian agent.
Yeah.
Eric's like, I'll go do it. And it's not even TDS. It's just he's an effing liar, a liar and a grifter.
He is.
And it was so wild to me when he's screwing this Chinese spy, which now the Trump administration is looking at him for. And they're probably like, oh, and now you're gonna get a Bill Cosby charge too. So maybe we don't want to pile on this guy too bad, but no, pile away.
Yeah.
And look, no one was surprised when he admitted to his wife, unlike Mike Pence, I've lusted at a woman in my heart, or Jimmy Carter or whatever.
Sure.
He's like, that's between me and my wife. But this accusation, and now there's coming on the heels, there's 4 or 5 more accusations. He didn't just sexually harass. It's like this. The media was dancing around the drugging part of it for a few days, I think.
Yeah.
They were saying, the first girl who testified, she was like, I had a drink. The next thing I knew, I was extremely inebriated, and I woke up in a hotel bed, and I knew I had sex.
Yeah.
And now the media is kind of like, F this guy, and we're done with him.
Yeah, and
off to the wolves. And yeah, he drugged him. He drugged him.
They should be done with him, of course. You think that, I think that. This uniquely was horrible in a whole lot of ways. You know what was really interesting to me, though? That the Feng story or the whatever stories they are, none of those take him down. And then all of a sudden he's putting out there on social media, you know what, I am stepping down. So you knew an avalanche was coming after that.
Yeah.
Because these people don't go away from one or two stories like this. It has to be 10, 15 that eventually they try to disappear into the ether, and all the victims deserve to come forward and hopefully drag them into court case after court case and get them thrown in jail.
I mean, the only thing I will say is that a criminal case is going to be very difficult to prove.
Sure.
Because this was many years ago. Hypnol or whatever the date rape drug is, like, leaves your system in like 10 hours or something, or maybe even less. So it's going to be a he said, she said thing. But the I always love when a politician is getting ready to quit. They always say, I'm sticking in this race. And my family supports me.
Yeah, they do.
The people of California need me. They need me, I tell you.
Right.
And he was the only one who had not criticized Gavin Newsom. So he thought he was going to be like his, heir apparent. And it's chef's kiss.
Yeah. That's
chef's
true.
kiss.
No, it's true. Yeah, I've been saying that too, that I really am happy that the crap bag people that deserve the problems eventually get the problems. Like, that's uniquely good. It's sad that doesn't happen more in real life. While this is real life, but in our everyday lives. And honestly, it doesn't happen more in politics too, because we all know pieces of crap. We've all come around pieces of crap. We've all been around people that do horrible things. And I think that's probably why these stories become so popular, because as we're cheering against the bad guy, we're also thinking about the bleeps in our own life who have done terrible stuff to us.
Yeah, I mean, I've worked in politics long enough. I mean, there's pieces of crap on both sides of the aisle, and they like them young, okay?
Yeah.
And to segue into another one, Gallegos, the guy who stole the election from Kerry Lake.
Sure.
Gallegos now, Ruben Gallegos, senator from Arizona, now has a credible complaint of a woman who he hit on, and she was like, get away from me, you fat slob. And then he fired her.
Yeah.
So he's going to be the next to go. But before that, Tony Gonzalez. Now, the Tony Gonzalez story is truly crazy to me. Because remember when we heard over last summer that this staffer that used to work for him set herself on fire.
Yes.
In her backyard. She didn't just like take pills or shoot herself. She was like, no, that guy ruined my life. F that guy.
Yeah.
This way, people are going to be like, whoa, holy crap.
Yeah.
What is going on here? And of course, he denied it until the text messages came out. And then he's like, oh, I'm not going to run anymore. And Brandon Herrera is like, you need to resign. You need to resign.
Yeah.
Someone set themselves on fire because of how you treated them.
Yeah, you know what was really crazy about that story? I think Joe Pags, who has the show on after me, helped break some of that information and put it out there into the world because he got the interview where Tony Gonzalez was admitting to some of the relationship stuff or something. I think trying to say that the lighting on fire didn't have anything to do with him, which is uniquely odd to see, right? Yeah, like convenient that you did all the other terrible stuff, and then when this person chose to harm themselves, that's not you. But then, yes, he'll step aside too because, but it's weird how long some of those stories take to take down the politician. Because in the real world, I said it a second ago, I'll say it again now, these things would destroy people, and they should destroy people. Right. Their rules are just so utterly different. It's ridiculous. But yeah, no, a woman literally set herself on fire that was in an affair with a politician. It's horrible.
And I honestly think she did it to screw him over. I really do.
Sure. Yeah. Well,
because it was such a dramatic thing. And, she's like, I'm going to take this one down with me.
You know what's interesting about that? I don't mean to try to equate it to something that's not as serious. Like, that's a horrible thing, of course. But it shows what I think is probably a pretty common feeling, which is desperation, that power never gets any sort of, punishment for their crimes. This woman might have felt very specific about the individual who deserved punishment, but I think a whole lot of Americans out there right now see thing after thing and just wonder, why can't we hold people accountable? There's conversations going on in the conservative party, and I've seen like the Nick Fuenteses of the world who are not really conservatives say this stuff, but like you should vote in Democrats in 2026 to punish the conservative party for not doing enough good, not having the right candidates for us. What do you say to people who are saying, I need to teach a lesson to my political group, and this is the way I want to teach that lesson?
I would say that is a really dumb strategy because
yes, it is.
The people that we need to worry ourselves with, I mean, the House has its issues, clearly. And Mike Johnson is singing and dancing and doing everything that Trump wants because he knows where his bread is buttered.
Sure.
But the GOP is basically telling the Senate to F off. Like, they're done with them. And I think the main problem we have is with those senators. When you look at the leadership team of Thune, who, my theory of the case, Thune, and this is just a quick tangent, we're talking about cheaters. My opinion, a few years ago when he came on the scene, he was kind of touted as a potential presidential candidate. Good looking, solid, good family, yada, yada, yada. And then very quickly, his star started to sink. And I submit to you, it's because people knew he couldn't keep it in his pants. That is my opinion. But, you know, he wants to get even with Trump. He doesn't, John Thune's wife is a Hillary Clinton supporter, okay?
Yeah.
She is a never Trumper, as big as you could ever have.
Sure.
So we got John Thune, John Cornyn, who's not going to win, Barrasso from Wyoming, and I can't think of the other guy, but they all suck. They all absolutely suck. They're not doing anything that the voters want them to do.
Sure.
Listen, do the SAVE Act. That's all we ask.
Yeah.
End the filibuster and do the SAVE Act. And for the Nick Fuenteses of the world, or the Tuckers who have lost their minds, the second the Democrats win, it's Andy bar the door. They're going to get rid of the filibuster, and they're going to push through every insane thing humanly possible. It's going to be, you know, if the Biden years were, to quote Nigel from Spinal Tap, if that was an 11, it's going to be like a 20.
No, absolutely. You know what's interesting about what you said there a second ago, because you referenced Tucker Carlson, and I actually have talked about Tucker on this show. I like to play audio from the podcast people who are very influential right now. Even if I disagree with them, people like Tucker or Candace or whoever it might be.
Yeah.
And I actually, I don't know if you know this, I have family members who know Tucker quite well. Not me. I'm not like, I know people who go hunting with him that are in my immediate family. And whenever I've asked any kind of question to some of those individuals about Tucker now, what I get back is whatever he's saying, he actually believes. Like it's earnest. He's not trying to get clicks. He's not trying to get attention. This is, whatever you see there is genuine, because I so often believe it can't be. And it's not just for Tucker, Angela. I mean this for a lot of people. When you make your money in the digital space, eventually the only way to grow your audience is to say crazy stuff. And sometimes you need to say crazy stuff that some other audience will pay attention to, that you think you'll get to keep. Like, we've learned this lesson from the Bud Lights of the world. If you say insane stuff that's no longer aligned with the people who are your fans, you will lose them. And if you lose them, you might not get people who think other things in your, but that's what it seems like to me is happening, is some of these podcasters who used to be Trump supporters are just trying to find new audiences, and they're saying things that definitely put them out of lockstep with their core fan base.
Yeah, the whole hatred of Israel thing, I've honestly, swear to God, I've never understood it. I don't get it.
Sure.
And I've talked to Jewish people about this, and it really does, it centers from the idea of God's chosen people type of thing. And when you think about the history of Judaism or the history of Israel, the crap that these people have been through for these many centuries, and come out on top every single time, I mean, it does give credence to the chosen people type of thing. And that's not to negate Christians or anything like that. I'm a Christian. But we live in a Judeo-Christian society, thank God. I mean, now that Tucker's saying that Sharia's law is not that big of a deal. Like, calm down, everybody. And
That was
and
nuts.
oh, P.S. Like, just so you know, the Muslims love Jesus. Oh, really? Tell that to the Christians in Nigeria
Sure.
or anywhere in Africa or anywhere in the Middle East who are being slaughtered
Yeah.
for being Christian. Like, it's cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs.
It is.
And don't even get me started about Candace. I will admit, I really enjoyed the Brigitte Macron series. And I happen to agree with Candace. I'm
Sure.
like, that's a man, baby.
I got
But like she has such a I think she was jealous that Charlie didn't pick her.
100%.
I think that at some point they were in a romantic relationship.
Maybe.
Whether it was hooking up or something more. My guess it was like hooking up. She hates Erica.
Yeah.
And she goes down this crazy train. She's bringing up texts from 5 years ago. Like, it's just crazy. And then today, I don't know if you saw this, the Post Millennial had it. The caliber of the weapon came out today. And I'm clicking on this thing like kind of anticipatory because it says it was a 30 caliber bullet.
Sure.
And I'm like, oh crap, please let the gun that killed Charlie be a 30 cal, because otherwise Candace is gonna go off. And it was. It comes from. It was the same gun. Like,
right.
Her grift is, I think, the most distasteful.
Well, yeah, it's definitely the most distasteful. But I think the like math of it or whatever they're doing, the business strategy of it is they're just trying to get more clicks, more insanity, more whatever. And I think a lot of them are making the same mistake. I think Tucker specifically is making the same mistake that we've seen before is you can't count on anyone that you think is your core fan staying with you if you say insane stuff. Although I should caveat that in the world of podcasting, they're all still wildly successful if you look at download numbers. All of them. Candace Owens is still wildly successful, I think in the top 30 for downloads. Tucker, top 15. Ben Shapiro gets shots sometime fired his direction. Criticism, I should say, fired his direction. He's top 10 still. So there's something where, like, business-wise, it is working for them. But I imagine they'll keep bleeding the supporters they've had for a long time. And unless they keep saying insane stuff on the other side, they'll lose that audience too. I think it's probably temporary or like roller coaster up and down. But it's just interesting to see it. Because every time I talk about these people, I go look up what their podcasts have been doing the last few weeks, and it's pretty good. Like, they're still doing pretty well in that space.
I mean, I wonder if a lot of it or some of it is just people going, I cannot even.
Yeah.
like
watching the car
cannot
crash.
Even.
Yeah.
But they're watching, they're
Yes.
listening. But I think Nick Fuentes, like, he's really feeling himself. And I don't know much
is.
about this kid, but the things I do know, I'm like,
They're not good. Yeah, there's nothing good there. But he's got like a million person following on social media too now. So I don't know. We haven't talked at all about Iran. I don't know if you want to say anything about what's currently. It seems like finally we're getting to that place that President Trump kind of thought we would get to, where we've shown Iran that you mess with the United States and it's a big mistake. And now that we have a blockade that's successful the way it is, we might eventually get the deal that we've wanted for a few weeks here. This has not taken anywhere near as long as the forever wars that we've been in the past, even though mainstream media pretends it has. But what are some of your thoughts on how hopefully we're coming to the end of this conflict?
Yeah, I love how every other day the media is like, the war in Iran is costing $1 billion a day. And it's like,
is it?
What about Ukraine?
Yeah.
Oh, wait, you were getting kickbacks from that, so that was fine.
Right.
I think I actually interviewed a gentleman named Brian Tayyaf, who is an Iranian dissident. His
Wow.
family came here when he was quite young after the fall of Iran. And he was just jubilant the day after this happened.
Sure.
And the Iranians around the world, the expats from around the world are just jubilant. And he said that when I was on Isaiah Factor last week talking about this, he actually said, he goes, you know, the people think that there's no way for them to communicate because everything's shut down. He was like, but Elon Musk has a Starlink. There's other United States and Israeli satellites so that people can communicate. And you see these videos of these people whose homes have been bombed, and they come out and they're like,
Yes.
Trump, don't stop.
Yeah.
Don't stop. Like, I think the Iranian people, we all want them to rise up and take these people down. But when women go out and protest on the streets, they have snipers out there just shooting 4 or 5 of them.
Yeah.
That would scare me back into my house.
Me too.
I think they know that this is do or die. Like, this is a war that has been going on for 47 years.
Mm-hmm.
#1 state sponsor of terror. Everything Trump is saying.
Right.
Is it like the only caveat I would say is, it's an election year, and it sucks that we have to put those bullet points or those parameters in there.
Sure.
But I think ultimately this is going to end far before the election. And then we're going to have some people in Iran. Maybe it's not going to be the Shah, but they're not going to be there. Maybe it'll be like a Saddam, where they're like,
Sure.
crazy, but they're not going out and killing their own people and murdering Christians.
Gotcha.
Like,
It'll be a tolerable crazy, is what you say.
a
will be allowed.
tolerable
Yeah.
crazy.
I gotcha.
Yeah.
Yeah, that sounds pretty good to me. We are running out of time. We only have about 4 or 5 minutes left. I do want to let you promote all the stuff that's out there for you. I know you've got your own video show, your own podcast, a bunch of stuff, and then you mentioned Isaiah Factor. You're on there a lot. How do people find you?
Yeah.
How do people find you?
They've
Angela?
been so good to me. I love them. The people at Fox 26 are really great. Yes, Angela Bach Show. It's at Angela Bach Show on every platform. I have a fantastic producer who is doing yeoman's work, taking my videos, finding funny clips, and putting out great reels. So shout out to Trish.
Nice.
And I'm going to be starting something new with a girl named Stacey Bowers, who was on The Amazing Race.
Cool.
And we're going to be doing a show called The Box and the Bee. And what that is it's like if Wendy Williams and The View had a baby. That's what it's going to be. But she's a very she's like a soft Democrat. She's not cuckoo. She's not a Ayanna Pressley or anything like that. Right. But she's black. I'm white. We're going to come from a different perspective. But at the end of the day, we're still friends. And what we want to show is that people can still have a conversation and not rip each other's heads off at the end.
Yeah.
I'm excited about it.
You can disagree about stuff. And at the end of the day, you can actually
it doesn't mean you hate the person.
Right. Well, and I'll say this, actually. That's uniquely powerful or uniquely good for Republicans because we've been doing it for a long time. But it's something that Democrats seem to not accept at all. So I like to see when a Democrat cannot get mad and sit on a show with somebody like you and hear certain things because we don't have as much of that as I think as our side does.
No, I totally agree. And the funny thing is when I talk to Democrats, when I attempt to, because it's usually a fool's errand, when I attempt to talk to these people, I mean, they just get so angry that it's like it's an 11 all the time.
Yes.
And what I like about Stacey is that we may disagree on things, but sometimes we agree with the finality. We just don't necessarily agree on how we get there, you know?
Yeah.
So I think it's gonna be a very interesting show.
Cool.
I'll keep you posted.
Yeah. And what's that called again? One more time?
It's called The Box and the Bee. We haven't even started it yet, but we're getting ready to.
It's in production. I remember I talked to you at some point when I was doing the weekend show here, and that was something that you guys had just started working on. So that's pretty exciting.
Yeah.
Anything else that you want to talk about? I've only got 4 minutes left, like I said.
4
I'll
minutes,
let you pick our last topic.
Oh, what else is happening? What else is happening? I'm trying to think. There's so much.
Mutual friends that we have you'd like to discuss? No, I'm kidding. We don't have to talk about that.
Oh!
No. That's okay.
Oh, yeah. Craig, I have to say, I am so glad that we connected.
Yes, me too.
That we met.
Yes.
Out of the ashes of something, we have forged a friendship and colleagueship, and I love coming on your show anytime you want me back.
Awesome. That'd be great.
Let me know.
Yeah, cool.
Give me a topic. Give me one topic.
Just something silly, or do you want something else in the world of politics?
Something silly.
All right. Well, I guess one of the other things that I've been thinking about a lot, this is just in my own personal life, so I'll get a judge's ruling from you if my wife is right to be mad at me for something, or if I'm right that it's not a big deal.
Okay.
She works way earlier than I do. The show that I'm doing now is kind of late at night. It's 7 o'clock at night by the time I get off the air. You know this as a broadcaster. When you get home, I'm not going to go to sleep an hour or two after I get home. So I've been leaving the house at like 10 o'clock at night. I've been going places like Target, nowhere seedy. I've been walking around Target for a little bit and then coming home. And she doesn't like this at all because she's already in bed. She's like, when I go to bed, you need to waste your time in the house. I don't like you wasting your time out there. Who's right and who's wrong, Angela? Am I right or is she right?
I sort of see both sides. I see both
okay.
sides.
I'm at Target, Angela. Come on.
For 3 hours?
Like, no, not 3 hours. No, it's like 30 minutes. It's a 20-minute drive, 30 minutes there. I'm not gone for 3 hours. No.
Oh, I gotcha. Oh, 3 hours total from when you leave to do the show and then come home?
Well, no. So it's 7 o'clock now. When I get off the show, I'll actually go home. I'll say goodnight to Betty. She'll fall asleep by like 8:30 because she wakes up early, and then I'll leave the house for like an hour total and then come home. I'll leave at like 8:39, be back by 10, 11. Okay.
What does she think you're doing?
She doesn't
getting your drink on.
Probably.
No, Betty.
Probably
I'm sure Betty is fabulous. She's
lovely,
married to you.
lovely.
She must be.
Yes.
But I mean, if she's already asleep, like, who cares?
Okay. I think that's the part that actually is the biggest question. Is like I would rather be awake so that by the time you get home, you know nothing at night has happened. I don't know. I think that's actually.
My husband and I take our pills like Mildred and Ernie, like old ladies and old men. We're popping the valerian root and all the other crap that we take to try and sleep because we both have like chronic insomnia.
That's amazing.
Like we like to be in bed by 7 o'clock.
Yeah.
Like in bed.
I get it. Yeah, she's like that now. I'm still not quite there. But all right, that's it. That's the whole show. We're out of time. Thank you to Angela Box for being a part of it. You're awesome. One more time, where do people find all your stuff?
Everything is at Angela Box Show. Twitter, X, Instagram, Facebook, Apple, Spotify, iHeart. Everything is at Angela Box.
Cool. All right, we'll talk again soon. This is the Craig Collins Show, KSCV, KGBC, the voice of Texas.
You're listening to the Voice of Texas, AM 700 KSEV Tomball and AM 1540 KGBC Galveston.
The U.S. would be targeting vessels in other areas like